Amazing and mind-blowing coincidences. Have you been somewhere random, then you meet a total stranger dressed the same as you? I know in the moment it feels absurd, but coincidence is a norm in every person's life. Sometimes it gets even weirder when two brothers get in an accident at different timelines, but at the same place, in the same cab, with the same driver. Now, what would you call this? Witchcraft? Stick around as we unveil some of the most mind-blowing coincidences that have happened in real life. You never know what's going to shock you. The Hoover Dam is nothing short of spectacular, as it runs along the Black Canyon. It serves a great purpose to unite the nation by providing irrigation water and subsiding floods. However, its construction in the 1930s wasn't free of a great calamity. It took more than 100 lives. The first life to be taken during its construction was on December the 20th, 1932. His name was John Gregory Tierney, who was lost in the Colorado River when a flash flood hit. His son, who adored his father, took up the mission to build the dam and went to look for work at the site. If only he knew what awaited him 14 years later. The exact same day his father met his fate, on the 20th of December of 1935, Patrick William Tierney fell between two intake towers. He unfortunately lost his life in a big twist of coincidence on the exact day his father met his maker. Both of them ended up being the first and last people to lose their lives on the Hoover construction job. Do you believe in the twin connection theory? If not, I think today's the day you'll be convinced. This is a story of two twin boys separated at birth, after each of them were adopted by different families. The first coincidence happened when both the boys were given the first name Jim. They went on to develop hobbies in woodwork, crafts, and drawing in their teenhood. When it came to looking for jobs, they both ended up in law enforcement. The twin coincidence went on even further, even in their relationships. They both acknowledged having the same preference in women. This led to them both marrying women with similar first names. If you think that's strange, you'd be surprised to know that they both got divorced and remarried women named Betty. And here I was thinking, this twin similarity only goes as far as food preference. I was shocked to find out that even their sons and dogs had the same names. A 7-year-old boy had a big brother who was playing football for his university team, and all the boy wished for was to be exactly like his brother. So it didn't come as a surprise when he drew himself in football gear. When the teacher asked them to draw what they would like to be in the future, he did his best to add a bit of a personal touch to his drawing by putting his childhood crush in his photo next to him. The biggest coincidence happened when a decade later, he posed for a very stunning but cuter photo. The first thing you notice is that he's a football player playing for his dream team. By his side stood a petite brunette lady who happens to be his childhood crush. If you put this photo side by side to the one he drew all those years ago, you'd think he drew it a week before. Everything's the same, even his jersey number. The cute girl who sat by his side in class when he was 7 was his reality. King Umberto I reigned Italy with an iron fist, best known for a brutal massacre of Beverus in Milan that led to hundreds, if not thousands, of lives lost. He also spearheaded the colonization of some parts of Africa. His accomplishments made him an enemy to many, and there were countless attempts to take his life. Despite all this, he still lived his life and visited local restaurants to have a meal. One day, when visiting one of the local restaurants, he discovered something strange. He was making his order, only to turn his head up and see that the man he was talking to looked exactly like him. Not only that, but also his voice was the same as his own. On further inquiring, he realized this coincidence went even deeper. They were born on the same date of March 14, 1884, and lived their childhood lives in the same location. Even their wives had matching first names. The spookiest coincidence, however, happened on the day that the restaurant owner passed on. The king, who was in his car, was informed of his demise. Just as he was expressing regret towards what had happened to him, the king was assassinated. These two unrelated men had a lot of similarities like twin brothers. They perished only 2 hours apart from each other. Life is full of surprises, but when you meet two transit trucks with names embedded with names at the back, similar to our favorite pop star Taylor Swift, many wouldn't believe this happened without any image to prove that two cars coincidentally bore the name Taylor and Swift. If you think you've seen it all, you better think again. Do you think they planned it so they could make an internet trend? Or maybe it was Taylor's new album campaign? We'll never know. Growing up, We all had our favorite tales and stories we like to polish our vocabulary with, right? For Anne Parrish, Jack Rooster was her cup of tea. And as a teen, she spent hours on end going through books, but regularly reviewed her favorite storybook, even carrying it home from the library. When they went out on a book hunt during her trip in France with her husband, they were amazed to come across what Anne termed as her favorite storybook. What's even more astonishing is the fact that this was the same book she'd borrowed from the library years back. It even bore her physical address and name. What are the odds of you finding a book you read decades ago in a foreign country? For Anne, she felt lucky to have retrieved the book and swore it brought back some childhood memories. Up next, we'll take a look at something so absurd you'll probably not believe it. But they say father like son. Stick around, let's find out how things turned out in these poker games. Gambling games are a dangerous sport to indulge in because without the appropriate tricks, you might end up losing a fortune. Back in 1858, a bold man took part in a poker game and surprised his opponent by winning $2,000 for himself. It was then that the guys realized he'd been cheating all along, and they decided to eliminate him. Would you take a deceased man's money? Definitely not, and this guy too couldn't do that. Therefore, deciding to look for another player who'd take the cash and continue with the game. They found a young lad who didn't mind taking part in the game and went ahead to win $6,000. When the police came, they declared that the deceased man's spoil to his next of kin. The young man who stepped in to continue with the game was the man's estranged son, whom he'd not seen for several years. What a mind-blowing coincidence. It sounds unreal. Twins are phenomenal from birth, with everyone always amazed by them. I'm one of the ones fascinated with twins, and specifically their behavioral patterns. 70-year-old twin brothers were on a trip when they met their demise. The two were in different vehicles almost 10 miles apart from each other when they both got involved in similar accidents. The police themselves were amazed, as I was when they realized the two different incidents were twin brothers. And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across a photo online and you want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it in our future videos. What many of us don't understand is that the hairstyle we wear is a deliberate reflection of us, and this guy wanted to make a bold statement. The hair seems spiky, obviously following a punk rock vibe, but it seems it was a bit more of a palmy vibe. If he had green hair dye on, you'd confuse his hair for palm leaves. Coincidentally, the spots where he and his partner decided to stop and take a selfie had palm trees in the background that resembled his hairstyle. A look at the duo will leave you cracking your ribs. Unbelievable. But this summarizes our list today on the amazing and mind-blowing coincidences of the world. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. If you know of any superb coincidences we might have left out, don't forget to let us know so we can feature them in our next video. Until next time, as always, thank you all so very much for watching.